because at Amazon as a driver, I was making 41,000. I turned that $297 investment into a $90,000 salary tech job.
Hey everyone, I'm really excited this week to speak with Ezron, who most recently was an Amazon delivery driver, had some other experiences, and ultimately was able to break into tech sales. Throughout this interview, there's a lot of great takeaways, but if anything really stood out to me, it's the way that he was able to use his experiences in these non-sales jobs and non-sales related activities and still have a very compelling interview. He talks through his experience in much greater depth, and I know you're going to get a lot out of it.
Ezron, would love to hear from you yourself, your own experience, going back to maybe where you were before you even found tech sales and leading up to where you are now. Maybe paint the picture for everyone and we'll kick it off from there.
Yeah, sure, man. First of all, I just want to appreciate you for having me on here. It's been a dope journey from the time that I got into Tech Ascension, and just the community and everything like that is dope. So I appreciate it. Just to start it off, before I started tech sales, I was working with Amazon as a Amazon delivery driver, and I started that back in November of 2022. That was me previously coming off of working with a pharmacy as a 1099 independent contractor. Now, just to go back to that, what led me into doing that was 2022 was a financial, like it was the worst year I ever had financially. Like it got really bad, and it was mainly due to a couple of things in terms of decision making that decisions I didn't make, decisions that I did make, that just ultimately landed me in a position where, I had to pay rent with my credit card, and I'm making little to no income because I would just had this refusal of, getting a job, because I was like, I built up my notary business, and I was making good money. I can do it again. But that reluctancy really kept me, and pretty much it was ego that kept me from doing that, and it landed me in that position. But when I came across that opportunity to work at the pharmacy, I was able to work every day. I literally worked 7 days a week. I worked a whole month straight because I wanted to get myself out of that situation. I wasn't gonna let anything stop me. So upon that, I found Amazon because I was like, I want to continue to do something where I can still drive, but I can go ahead and still make the same amount of money without putting all these miles on my car. So I did Amazon. And in the midst of doing Amazon, I remember initially I came across tech sales right around that same time. And I looked into it and I was intrigued, but I didn't make any rounds on it, right? I didn't really do much further research. So fast forward, we get to, I would say, I think it was March of 2023 of this year. That's when I came across tech sales again. And it happened to be one of your videos. I don't remember which video it was, but what drew me to your channel was how concise you spoke, how well you articulated yourself, and the way you laid out information. I was like, this dude, I don't know, I resonate with this guy. So watching more of your videos, how you go into a rabbit hole, you just start watching more videos, another one. So then I noticed that you had a course, and after looking through the course, and it was the same thing from top to bottom on that landing page, how easy and well concise everything was laid out, in terms of each level. And I was like, okay, this is something that I want to do. But it took me about 2 or 3 days before I pulled the trigger on it, because I was just wanted to make sure, because you're spending money, you don't want to just be frivolous with it and just make an ill-advised decision. So once those 2-3 days came along, I said, I'm gonna dive deep into it, and I did it, and I went through the course and everything like that, and it was just the start of the beginning of changing my career.
Yeah. No, and credit to you for taking action. I think like one of the things that stood out is how quickly I think you were kind of starting to put yourself in understanding like the language of just a B2B sales environment, right? Like I think you really snapped into that quickly. I know you got some solid interviews too throughout the process. Maybe as you're like, take us through that experience, right? Like you're first getting your first rounds of interviews, successes, some failures. How did you even feel? Like, did you, making this transition, from maybe interview one to the one that you ultimately landed? What was that progression like, right?
Yeah, so honestly, during that time, because when I started not interviewing, when I started applying initially, because I started Tech Sales Ascension, I think it was March 26th or March 20 something. It was late March, and then about 2 weeks after, because the course, the way the course goes through everything, you feel very confident, once you get towards the end. And I was like, I can definitely start applying for jobs. So when I started applying, I was applying to about maybe 5 to 10 jobs a day. And I was doing that for an entire month and a half. And I was getting responses as far as me reaching out to, sales managers, hiring managers, recruiters, like how you laid out in the course. And I got responses back. And there was actually one person, I believe we spoke about it actually through message in terms of me having an introduction with someone over at MongoDB. But that fell through because, I mean, the person practically ghosted me. I didn't feel no type of way because it's like I've been through plenty of rejection before. So it was nothing for me. But at that point, there wasn't really any interviews that came about because for some reason, even though I was getting responses from people like individually, it was never in time. The system, I forgot what the system is called, but the system that reviews the applications, it will always go through there before an actual human would be able to go through and seek out the application. So I would almost never beat it in time. I'm like, all I need is for somebody to look at my application before it goes through the system so they could push it through. But it just didn't turn out that way. But it was just one day I was actually on my way to go get my windows tinted on my car, and this was June 28th. And I got a message. I got an email from the recruiter of the company I'm with now. And she was like, "Hey, Ezron, we like your resume, we like your cover letter. We want to reach out to you to see if you'd be a great fit." And that was the first round interview, which was, like I said, the introduction call. And we went through. That went well. She pushed me through to the sales manager. That also went well. And it's everything that I had in my mind as far as questions written down. Like I came prepared because I said, this is the only interview I'm doing. I'm going to put all of my focus into it.
Yep.
So before we even finished the interview, right, with the sales manager, he said, "Oh, I want to push you through. Like, do you have any questions for me? Because I'm ready to push you through." I said, "I don't have any more, but yeah, let's do it." So he pushed me through, and I went through the final round interview because that was the second one. Went to the final round interview. That was an hour long. It was with a director of sales, and it was also with a sales development manager in New York. And it was the same thing. It went well, and the constant theme or the running theme of the interview was they liked how I tied in my experience, even though I had no sales experience. They liked how I tied in my experience from being a notary and Amazon into tech sales, and the fact that I prepared with the questions and my mentality, the way that I speak, things of that nature, it really impressed them. And it was just an amazing experience overall.
No, that's really great to hear. And I think one of the things that caught my attention, like you're now selling for a company that is workforce management. So it's interacting with like human resources department, IT, and other parts of the business that maybe you didn't have direct experience in. So you mentioned, they really liked how you tied that experience into a tech sales role and an SDR role. How did you do that? What were the things that really helped in that case?
Yeah, so honestly, it was more so of me laying out exactly what I did. So let's say, for example, one of the questions that they asked me, if I could remember off the top of my head, was what was something that you can tell me about your notary experience, as having your business and everything like that. And I said, well, as a notary, what we have to do is we have to actually go out there and acquire work, right? Especially when you're independent. If you're not working for a firm or anything like that, you have to actually go out there and do it. So I said to them, I said, aside from going out there, what I would do is I would look up a whole bunch of companies, like a whole bunch of real estate attorney, real estate agent offices, and I would make a list write them down, and I kind of would create my own little CRM, so where I have it where it showcases me following up with them, who I reached out to, who I didn't reach out to yet. And, I was doing that week in and week out. And regardless of my schedule, because I was doing real estate closings as a notary because I was certified to do that, I always made sure that I set aside time in terms of like my time blocking to be able to go ahead and, make sure I still fulfill what it is I had set up in terms of following up and reaching out and things of that nature. So when I laid that out to them, and I laid that out to everybody, when I laid that out to them, they were like, okay, that sounds good. You're very well versed in that side of business to business in terms of doing that, because we're looking for that as far as people that we're looking to bring on. So I'm saying in the back of my head, I'm like, okay, this is good, because I'm sure I have the skills and I have the fervor to be able to do this job. I just need to showcase to them that like I can do this and I'm the right candidate for this position. So that's pretty much the way I typically tied in my experience for the most part, and it worked out.
Yeah. No, it's great to hear. And for everyone watching too, like tell us a little bit more about the opportunity that you got. Obviously whatever you're comfortable sharing, but would love to hear kind of how it played out and what the opportunity is.
So yeah, the company that I'm working with now is called Rippling. And like Eric mentioned before, it's a workplace system that combines HR, IT, and payroll all in one, right? It connects all the employee data to where it makes it a very seamless transition in terms of being able to do payroll, automatically do payroll, any IT support in terms of being able to see, who needs a laptop, who doesn't need a laptop, onboarding, offboarding. And, it's a really great product, because the thing is that no matter what industry that you're in, no matter what industry a business is in, everybody has payroll, everybody has HR, and everybody has IT. So the solution that we solve is we're looking to solve the problem of businesses that want to cut back on the time that it takes to be able to do that work, because it's very time consuming. Payroll in itself is very time consuming. So especially if you're doing it manually.
Cool. No, I mean, credit to you, and like really excited for you, obviously. And I think how much you already know about the company, not even at your start date yet, which is coming up here very soon, like you can already articulate some of the major value that the company provides. And I think it speaks to your work ethic. And I think it leads to my next question too, which is like, obviously you're very sharp, you've got a lot of drive. And so what went into the decision to pay for coaching as opposed to trying to figure it out on your own?
Yeah. So what went into that is, like I said, it was some time ago, I learned that one of the pillars of success is being able to acquire information and skill. And when you pay for that, you're able to condense the time it takes for you to acquire those skills and that information into a much shorter time. If you think about it in terms of tech sales, money moves so fast in that industry compared to a lot of industries. What would take 5 to 10 years from one industry to make progress, it could be done in 1 year in tech sales. I look at it that way as well. So as far as being able to go for that coaching, the thing is you can do it by yourself. You can do it for free, but it's not laid out. Whereas, with the boot camp, with the course, everything is laid out. And especially when it's laid out the way you guys made it, what I'm saying? It's amazing. And it was worth every penny, because I took that opportunity and I said, I'm going to change my life this year. I don't know if you remember, but in my I think in my header in the community, it says 2023 is the year I'm going to, make the change, or whatever I put. But I turned that $297 investment into a $90,000 tech job, $90,000 salary tech job. I gave myself a $50,000 raise, because at Amazon as a driver I was making 41,000. But now I turned that into a $90,000 job. And it's crazy how things happen, because like I said previously in the beginning, where I was a year ago, I was broke. I barely had any money. I have credit card debt. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to pay my rent because of decisions that I made, decisions I didn't make. And to go from that to Amazon, to then deciding to, I'm going to change career paths and I'm going to go with tech sales, because it resonated with me in terms of, the entrepreneurial side of things, being able to control your schedule, and your success is depending on you. To go from that and within a 3.5 to 4 month span, because I fell off for 1 month where I stopped applying because it went from 1 day to a week to 2 weeks to 3 weeks. But I sat one day, and this was right before I had got the email from the recruiter, and I said to myself, I'm getting content with my situation, and I have to remember that I'm getting into tech sales because this is what I want to do. So the way everything transpired, or everything went about, to go from where I was a year ago to now where I'm heading into, breaking into a career that will literally change my life in just 10 months. If I can do it, anybody else can do it. So that's my advice, is to just stay disciplined, doing the things that you don't want to do, even when doing the things that you have to do, even when you don't want to do it. Stay consistent, and always remember what your why is. So that's pretty much it.
Oh, really well said. And I think, yeah, so many lessons there. And like, yeah, I think to everyone watching too, it's like, I've been rejected, you got rejected along the way, and we still found our way in. So, really more power to you. And you may have mentioned it, but I wanted to, as a last question, give you a chance to, you look back at yourself when you started this process to now. You have the wisdom you have now. Maybe someone watching is kind of in your shoes where you were when you started. Any advice there? Any things that you wish you knew? Would love to close it on that.
Yeah. So just my advice, getting into it. Of course, anybody that's watching this, definitely, if you can, pay for that education. Pay for that education, acquire those skills, because it's going to give you a leg up, in terms of the competition. I am literally somebody with, I don't have a degree, right? I don't have any tech sales experience. And I was up against people who had degrees and who has experience. But the thing is that I did what was necessary as far as becoming, coming prepared, and just knowing what it is that I'm getting myself into. If you're going to go into the interviewing process, make sure that you are prepared. Is extremely important. Like Eric had said in many videos, you don't want to wing it in the interviews. You don't want to do that, because they will sift you out, and they'll realize like, okay, this guy didn't come prepared. We're not going to hire this guy. We're not going to move him on to the next round. So just, just be focused on making sure your resume is on point. Even if so, have a cover letter. Cover letters work as well. They make you stand out, and just focus on the task at hand. Stay extremely focused, because if you're not focused, you will lose out on the opportunity, and you'll just be all over the place. And then you'll wonder, 6 months, 7 months go by, why am I not getting any jobs? Because you're not optimizing. You're not learning from your failures. You're not optimizing, your what's the word I'm looking for? You're not optimizing
your approach
throughout the entire situation. So, that's my advice. Just stay the course, and trust me, you'll break in.
Yeah. Well, congrats again, man. And I think really well said. And there's so many things you can worry about that at the end of the day don't actually matter. And part of that, you've got to learn trial by fire. You're going to realize, as you fail a couple of things, that you probably overthought some things, but that's part of the process too. And I think it's when you get done with it, you realize how much that wasn't really important, and that's part of the process. And it allows you, I think, to continually improve, level up your game, and keep progressing, man. So very excited for you again. And obviously a huge milestone breaking in. Really excited to see where you're at 12 months from now and beyond. And Ezron, congrats again, man. Very excited for you. And unless there's anything else, man, appreciate the time.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you, man. You and Chris, you guys are doing the damn thing. I can vouch for you guys. Like I said, it was worth the investment, because I got it done in just under 4 months, and now I'm changing my life for the better. So yeah, man, I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks.
All right, man.